everybody, I am your girl Candy, and with me I have Dorinda Medley from The Real Housewives of New York, and she is about to speak on it.
I'm gonna try to speak on it.
I had already heard.
I can turn a shade tree into a money tree. First of all, we are in Dorinda's beautiful apartment. Let me just say that.
Well, thank you.
Beautiful apartment. My daughter is actually staying in the same building. This is the, what is it?
Oriana.
The Oriana.
You know what was amazing when I found that out? They were like, "Did you know Candy's here?" I was like, "You're kidding me." I texted you right away. And I knew that we were gonna have we weren't gonna be able to see each other that much because I get up every morning at 5:30.
You do?
Every day.
Is that like you have a long day at work? What are you doing?
I'm a morning person, and I realized you're not a morning person.
Not really. I mean, I've had to for the last couple of days because I was co-hosting Strahan and Sarah, so I had to leave at 6 a.m. So these last 2 days,
That's tough.
But that is not normal for me. What are you doing at 5:30 in the morning?
I'm very busy at 5:30. I get up, I have my coffee, I read all my news. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm like a news freak.
Okay, I did not know that.
I love any kind of news, any kind of, Bethany always says, "What is it? You know something about all these bizarre topics." So I do that, then I usually take a big long walk or work out for an hour.
Okay.
I'm just a morning person. You know, Hannah says I wake up in chaos every day, but I don't stay up late. I, by 10:30, 11 at night, want to be in bed. And did you know I take a nap every day of my life?
You do. That's why you look so good.
Well,
All that rest.
every day, 4:30 to 5:15.
Okay, so you look very good.
Thank
and you
you.
look very natural.
Oh, thank you.
What do you think about this business of women doing all that extra stuff to their faces?
I'm not against. Listen, I've had Botox, and I actually went to Dr. Giacono the other day.
Oh, really?
Have you heard about it?
No.
So you gotta look him up. Listen, at this age, we're seeing changes. I said it
Yeah.
to someone the other day. Well, you're young, Candy. I'm 50, going on 55.
Oh, really?
So what happens is at 50, you start to see it, and I was talking about it on my radio show the other day. I think one of the best things we can do as women is there's that dirty little secret about how things change at 50.
Right, I think we should all keep it real with each other, be honest, and give each other's tips if necessary.
Give each other tips and be realistic. If these women that are 52, 53, still trying to look a certain age, it just is, because if you're holding this up, this is falling down. If this is coming up, these are falling down. I mean, it's just, you can't. There's not enough plaster in New York City to keep it all up, so you have to sort of do things that make you feel great, tweak, but not overdo it.
Not overdo it. You know, I'm 43 now, and in my mind, I'm trying to think, okay, do I want to grow old gracefully, or do I want to tweak? You know?
But you can tweak and still grow old graciously or gracefully, however you want to say it. I think it's okay to just be mindful. It's when you see, we have a thing in New York, I don't know what it's like in Atlanta, where women hit a certain age, you could walk down Park Avenue and they all have the same face.
I've been seeing it a lot lately, and to be honest with you, I see it now a lot to me in a lot of young women.
That's scary.
They're doing lots of fillers and a lot of lip jobs and everybody's looking the same.
Well, and also too, the thing I've learned too, the truth of the matter is, folks, at a certain age when your skin changes, I've done a lot of studying on this, fillers start to work in reverse. So if you really feel you want something done, you'd be better off to go under the knife a little bit than keep doing the fillers.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
Because a lot of the what you're doing when you get older is your muscle is getting weak, and your skin is getting saggy. So if you just keep filling it, you're not really doing anything. You're just puffing
Stretching
yourself
it.
up. You're actually, that's why a lot of women start to look almost swollen.
Right.
So if you really feel like it, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, if they showed me in a picture, I'm getting a lot of this excess skin here and a little fat. They said if they just sucked that out and just took a little of the excess skin there, I'd look very young. No, but I'd rather do that than keep trying to inject.
Right.
But I'll tell you something, if I ever do something like that, decide, I'm gonna tell people.
Yeah, it's no need in having people sit up and dissect your photos to try to figure out what you've done. Just, I love it when women are very open and honest and really just don't give a
Well, also too, we have the access.
Yeah.
And we have, whatever it is, connections, financial access, whatever you have. And a lot of women, and we have access to information. So isn't it nice to share that so people don't have unrealistic expectations and or go to wrong people?
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. My question is, how many years have you been on the show for people who haven't been keeping up?
This is my fifth. I just am in my fifth season, so next year will be my sixth season if I'm hired back.
Oh, long time. Now, were you here
Seventh season I
before or
started.
after Bethany's return?
We returned to. Well, she came back, and I started the year that she returned.
Oh, so you weren't there when she wasn't there.
No.
How did it feel coming back on the same year that Bethany came back?
Bethany has a incredible reputation and a lot of energy. And, it's intimidating enough to start, and you're you have no idea what to expect when you start this.
Right, especially for newbies. I call them the newbies.
Yeah, the newbies. And no one can describe it to you, explain it to you. It's such a self journey. So it's not directive. No one can say, do this, do that. You kind of get on there. And she was very confident. And I have to say, I was a little bit, not intimidated, but like, oh, that's Bethany.
Okay.
And she comes in with that energy. Like when she opens up the door, it's like,
Right.
So I was like, well, maybe I'll hold off to season 2 to get to know her.
Well,
I just have to find my place.
Well, you clearly held your own. Now, did one of the ladies of the show recommend you? Who brought you onto the show?
It's a funny thing. It was called Moms in New York when it started. And I was a single mom, and my daughter was at a private school at Sacred Heart. And this show called Moms of New York was swishing all around New York. And Jill Zarin was sort of the leader of it. And this guy, Andy Cohen, was looking for mom. And I knew all the girls, or most of them.
Right.
And I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but in New York, there's this Upper East Side group of women. They all go to the same schools. You all go to eat at the same places. It just is. I mean, if you live on the Upper East Side and raise a child in the private school system, you're all just part of this bizarre group.
Okay.
And they would just start saying, would you be interested? And I remember, I think it was Ramona or Jill that said, there's this new show. It's going to be called Moms of New York, and they're going to follow you around, and this, that. And I was like, that is the stupidest idea I ever heard. No.
You said no?
Because, well, I wasn't in the place. I just got divorced from my first husband, and Hannah was in private school, and I just wasn't.
You weren't feeling it?
No, I wasn't in that place. I couldn't, my focus was on Hannah. But if you go back, everyone, I am in a lot of the old shows.
Oh, really?
How weird is that?
That is weird. Okay, that's a fun fact.
Yes,
Everybody go
look
back
me
and
up.
binge watch.
So when Richard passed, Ramona was like, you need to try it. It's good for you. It'll be a good distraction. Because Hannah, in the same year that Richard passed, Hannah went to college. I was like lost, and I was still grieving, and it was a lot. And so I decided to try it for 1 year. And I was going to go on sort of as a friend. But I got to tell you something, honest to God, I'll never forget the first day I filmed, that camera went on, and I liked the camera liked me, I was like, this is good. I think I'm gonna like this camera. It didn't bother me at all.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
So you fit right on in like you had been there all your life.
And I knew most of the girls, so that was pretty seamless. Like people forget that I'm not part of the original group.
Yeah. This morning, we actually were on Strahan and Sarah together, and I interviewed her and Sonia and Luann. And basically, you guys kept talking about how you all have been friends for a very, very long time. So, were you guys friends or frenemies?
We were friends. I mean, Luann knew my first husband, has known Hannah for a long time, and I get Sonia was always that girl about town, and you always knew who Sonia was, and she'd be at the same lunches and birthdays, and yeah, I didn't know Sonia so well. Sonia was sort of Ramona's bestie, and I knew some Ramona, so if we were all together, I'd be like, hey Sonia, what's up? But I never really hung with Sonia, because she kind of was infamous in New York.
Oh, wait, infamous for what?
Well, Sonia she was a big socialite, and she was always out and had this famous Morgan husband, and did all. And I was a single mom, and I was sort of like just trying to keep it together. I was Ramona's day friend. And Sonia was more her evening cocktail friend.
Ooh, okay, for
That's
the
true.
evening cocktail friend. Okay, that's a great way to describe someone.
I knew, I still know very well for a long time. I mean, I was surprised. I was the maid of honor in her wedding. It's all about Tom.
Okay.
I was her maid of honor in that one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Who would have thunk it?
So how do you feel about the way you guys' relationship is? How is your relationship now?
You know, I was worried that you guys were going to sort of dive into that today a little bit because it was, this show is so difficult and what it can, do to it.
To friendships.
And you're thinking about it. You have to live it once, then watch it again.
And then do a reunion. 3 times. I tell everybody it's 3 times.
So no one allows you to forget. The healing process gets interrupted. I think that the thing with Luann and it definitely changed our relationship.
Oh.
But I don't even listen, my mom, who's my sage, things change. Doesn't mean they're done. I think, and I'm not just saying this for me, I think Luann would say the same thing. I think we need a minute.
Yeah.
But I don't not care for her. I don't wish her the best. I think that, I believe, and I'm sure she has life is like a pancake. It's got 2 sides, so I have the voice here, so Luann, I'm sure, has her own side. But, I think she was running with something that I didn't fully understand as what I thought as a really dear friend, which was that I betrayed her, she kind of took on people like Barbara and others to sort of bolster her up and keep her away from me. I'm a big forgiver. So I was like, what are you talking about? This happened 6 months ago. Haven't we gone through this? How are we coming back
to the same thing?
And we're going to relive it up. But I don't live like that. I think it confused me a little bit. And I didn't get the feeling that she was suffering the same sort of heartbreak over the friendship that I was. And then that made me very sort of like, maybe it made me question what I thought.
Like, were we ever really friends?
Because that's what happens in that process. But I think we're good, and Luann's doing her journey and doing her own thing. And during the process, I feel like I learned a lot. And you realize what your role is in that person's friendship. I'm sure she'll say the same for me. And I think we're both in a good place. I mean, I think I'm in a good place.
You've been on the show 7 years, you said, right?
Well, no, it's going to be my 6th year.
Oh, 6. Okay,
Coming up
sorry.
6.
But you've been in your relationship for 7 years. So you were in your relationship with John prior to getting on the show?
Yes.
Okay. And 7 years later, you and John are still together.
Still not living with each other.
What is going on with that? That is a good question. Why?
I've been married, divorced.
Okay.
Single mom, married, widowed. I just don't know what the purpose of marriage is for me at this point. I just feel like I've done it. I have been catering to different people's different places for a long time in my life since I was a young girl. And I'm content to sort of do this right now, and it works for us.
For 7 years?
It's not like I don't see them.
Right.
But for me, I don't know what the upside would be to be fully married. I mean, I don't want children.
Not even live together?
I may eventually live with John, but remember, Hannah just moved out. We went through that. I also think that John met me at a very tumultuous time. I just lost Richard. I didn't realize that it was going to end up being the kind of relationship it ended up being, because remember, John had never been married.
No.
He was a bachelor.
Okay.
I just thought, this is great. I'll go out.
Just a fun time.
We'll go out, and I think he thought the same thing. And and Hannah was going through a terrible time, and I just don't think we ever thought it would evolve into love. So what happened was we got into this routine, and then Hannah moved out last year. And Candy, I don't know, I kind of like living alone for the first time in my life. I haven't lived alone since I was 18 years old.
Okay, so how many days a week do y'all actually see each other?
We see each other every weekend.
Every weekend?
So like Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and we'll come back to the city on Mondays.
So where does he live?
He lives in New York. He lives in New York. He lives right by he owns a company called Madame Paulette, which is a big sort of, does all the couture and stuff and museum stuff and dry cleaning. And he has about 80 employees. He lives right near his factory. And he works like a dog. So we kind of do our work week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
And then get together on the weekends.
Like I'll see him tonight. We have a dinner tonight. We'll meet up and stuff. But quite frankly, there's a lot of mornings that he has to be at his factory at 7.
So does that just seem like it makes it easier for him? Because, you know, whereas some women probably would complain that he's working all those hours if they actually lived in the house together. But if you guys plan that, oh, okay, on the weekend we're going to go away together, that means he makes time to just enjoy it.
Well, you know what I feel like? New York is a very unique place. For me, New York is sort of a place I work, and the Berkshires is a place where I really
enjoy
and live. You know, kind of let the cook and do family and enjoy. New York is very intense. I don't know what Atlanta's like, but it's intense. So he does his thing, I do my thing. I know people are very curious about our relationship.
Right.
But I'm not. So why is it?
Well, it's not anybody else's business. If it works
and
for
I don't
you guys.
worry. People are like, aren't you worried about the fact he's going to cheat? Listen, if a man's going to cheat on you, he'll cheat on you.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I guess that's true. Everybody knows that.
A man will cheat on you while he's going to the bathroom behind your back when you're ordering your dinner if he wants to cheat. You know, it's not if you're serving dinner, it's how good the dinner is you're serving that counts. That's what I say.
Okay. Now that's one we're going to reuse. So how did you feel about all the women saying things about your man when you first came around?
Terrible. That's why I fought so hard.
Did you ever think about not being on the show?
I think we all do, right? I mean,
Right.
Isn't every year
Yeah,
you're
we
kind of
do.
like, I mean, by the end of every season, you're like, I'm never going back again.
Yeah.
And then it's like birth. Couple months go by, and then before you know it, you're like, you know, the contract comes in, and you're like,
I'll give one more year. So okay. So who do you think that who do you feel as though you're the closest to on the show?
Strangely, you know how this show is. Your relationships slip and flop. I've always been close to Ramona. Known Ramona 20 years.
No. I like Ramona.
Ramona, and you know the thing about Ramona's got her quirky like we all do, but she's very loyal. And I know that when I was going through that terrible time, she was there every day. How you doing? Want to go for lunch? That means, you know, and
That means something.
I feel very close to Bethany, right? And I feel close to Sonia. I mean, Tinsley, I don't feel like I ever really get to know. And that may be my fault, I don't know, but she's just a very different, she executes through life differently than I am as a woman. So I find it harder to have that
Real conversation.
Yeah, you know. Luann, you know, we're working on. You saw it today. You know, I'm always happy to see Luann. And I think next year we'll see what it brings. Slow and steady will win the race, I guess.
You know, hopefully it'll work out.
Well, this is the time now it can, because like I said, there's that old thing, you know, time heals wounds, but with this show...
This show messes it all up.
Yeah, re-showing it. Then the reunion, you don't, it's like every time, it's like that Viva Italian dressing. Every time it settles again, someone comes and shakes it up.
Yeah, you're just ripping the wound off every time.
So we just need that time to just have that little time together again.
Right, and then like blogs and different things, and the fans, they amp it up.
They love it.
Right, yeah. Okay, at the end of this season especially, or any season prior, have you felt any regrets about anything that you've done on your end?
I had a real strong strategy this year, which was, you know, my mother, I was so upset coming into the season. I couldn't understand what happened. I thought we were in a good place. It seemed to all get twisted and turned, and she came back with this team of Gurkha soldiers that, you know, I don't know, it just seemed to go dark again. And my mother said sometimes rejection is protection. And, you know, take the high road, there's less traffic up there. So I kind of used those two mantras the whole season. That's why I think that in a lot of scenes you see me just being like very acquiescent, like, you know, sure, you don't have to have the room, sure, you'll have yoga, sure, whatever you need, sure, whatever you want. Because I wanted to see if I could break down the, you know, what was really going on. Because it wasn't.
When people deal with death on TV, especially reality TV, do you feel that they should step away from the cameras for a while or use it to help others?
For me, it was therapy. For me, it was, and I think, like,
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's therapy, and I think everybody handles grief. There's no, I hate when people say you have to do this or don't do this. It's just such an individual thing. Some people die and people date again 2 weeks later. I just don't think you can pass judgment on anyone's journey.
Right, everybody's different.
Yeah, and I think for some people, like me, I'll be honest with you, it was great. Because it really gave me a distraction, B, it gave me a platform to talk about it, and C, I got to reach people that were also going through the same thing and have an open discussion with them.
Right, that is true. I don't know if you know this or remember, my first year on the show, my fiance,
Awful.
he passed, he died right before the season aired. So I'm watching the show and my mother and him are getting into it and different things happening, but he had already died. So it's like you're watching the arguments, you're watching all the things that happened that was negative, and you have so many things that you wish you could take back, but you can't, the person isn't there anymore. And then outside of that, people are watching you. Was she dating already? Is she talking to anybody? People are
ridiculous.
Yeah, so on one hand they want to be supportive, and on the other side they're,
after Richard died, Richard died, and I started like 6 months later dating John, and I remember someone was calling me up and saying, it was a Sunday. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah. They said, oh, what are you doing? I said, John's up here. It was the Berkshires. They said, John's up there. Really? Right. Do you feel comfortable with that? I said, well, what do you mean? Well, don't you think it's a little soon to have someone staying up in the Berkshires? I said, wait, let me listen. You don't like it? Then, because you have a family.
Right.
You are there with your family. I don't have any. Richard's not coming back. So a couple things. Either go find Richard and bring him up here so he can be mad at me. Or number two, you leave your family and come take care of me, because you want to pass judgment on me, but you don't want to spend time with me. So stop. Life goes on. Mm-hmm. I don't understand this weird thing where people pass judgment and they want to, they're dead, they're gone. So it makes people happy for you to sit there by yourself and be miserable.
And grieve. Mm-hmm.
But what is grief? They're gone. Right. It doesn't mean you don't grieve.
Right.
I still grieve. I'm sure you even have moments this day where something reminds me of your old boyfriend and stuff. Doesn't mean you don't love Todd or you're being betrayed or this.
Right.
It's a part of your journey.
Yeah, it was part of your journey. And I think, I always say, it's like people are so quick to judge, but people do not understand. Everybody grieves differently.
100%.
Speaking of grieving and dealing with death, I heard that you believe in spirits.
Yeah. Not religious, like spooky, like that, but I'm very spiritual. Mm-hmm. And I just do not believe that this is it.
Oh, yeah, I don't believe that.
I can't, if this is it, then what a bummer.
That would be horrible.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we must have also, I don't believe and especially having Richard have passed and knowing what I felt afterwards and knowing what I experienced afterwards. I'm not saying he was sitting in my room having a coffee, but I definitely know he's been around me. And when I was little, I was always very sensitive. I think I'm a sensitive. I don't know if I believe so much in, I don't believe in all this ghost and all that. I think there's spirits. I think people walk this earth. I think people make a mark on this world. I hope one day that someone feels me around. Mm-hmm. Just like in the real world, there's good and there's bad.
Right. That is true.
So, and you have to be like you do in the real world. Be careful of the bad and focus on the good.
No, I totally agree. My brother passed when I was like, I just turned 15. And
that's sad for your mom.
Very sad for my mom. I mean, it's still today. She still
think about it. I never get out. Yeah.
But that was like, I always say that was like the worst year of my life. But there were moments where he would visit me in my dreams and stuff like that, and I would be able to talk to him, or I would purposely. Oops, sorry. Speaking of my mother, it's my mother. Yeah.
See that? The energy. I told you. I'm telling you. Yeah. You don't think that's weird?
What I was saying was, sometimes if I didn't see him in my dream for a while, I would actually pray and be like, hey, can I see my brother in my dream tonight? And he would actually show up. To me, it's like,
She's gonna be like, I never want to talk to this crazy girl again.
No. I think there definitely are signs. I definitely feel there are signs. I mean, my thing is like, as long as it spoke to you, that's who it was supposed to speak to.
That's what it did. My daughter is here. She is taking classes and working and happy and adjusted and in a wonderful relationship and has her own apartment. And
Oh.
yes.
Is she married or is she in a relationship?
She's in a wonderful relationship. She gets very mad at me if I speak of it. I mentioned his name on radio the other day. She does not like it. Hannah's very different than me. You know that. She's very
private. My daughter's
She
like that
finds
too.
out your daughter.
Yeah, my daughter is when is Hannah's birthday?
December 26th. So
Oh,
she's
she's
a
a Capricorn.
And she is like, literally, you just asking me about it makes my, because I never know what I'm going to do.
Don't
make
get,
her
I
upset.
don't want to get her in trouble.
No, but seriously, I never know what the trigger's going to be.
Yeah, my daughter's always got something to get an attitude about.
Right?
She'll be all right. So you got your own radio show now. What is
Got
that?
my own radio show Tuesday.
How did that happen?
I started filling in for all the people at Sirius Radio. They just called me and they said, would you ever consider coming in? I did like the Amy Phillips show. And I said yes, and whatever they needed me, I filled in. And then I was like, I like being on the radio. Can I get a show? And then I just kept asking and asking and asking and asking. I mean, it's been like 2 years in the making. And I don't even have a show. They're testing me right now.
Oh, well, that's dope.
Listen, I don't care what happens. It's a great learning curve for me.
Well, everybody, you need to be tuning in so that she can
Please.
lock in that show, okay?
It's good because it's a different platform and it's not all, you can get so stuck up in all things Housewives. Well, you're great because you're so multi-layered.
Well, you know.
It's nice.
I appreciate you doing this interview with me.
I'm so excited to hear you.
And I had a great time talking with you. Make sure y'all subscribe, okay? Subscribe. Turn on your alerts so that you can check out my next interview. And I hope that you enjoyed this interview with
I
Dorinda
did.
as much as I did, okay? Thank you for watching. Speak on it.
I had already heard.
I can turn a shade tree into a money tree.